Hey guys, I just wanted to take a minute. I'm aware that I've been sharing a lot more information than normal, and once again, it's really only because it just all came together a couple nights ago. Um, I don't know how much all of you pay attention to like the writings I share, for example. But if you do or you have and you understand some of it, then you would probably know that until a couple nights ago, I was like a transcendental idealist, which is essentially, like it says, when you look out into the world, like there's stuff there, of course, but it's not what we see. It's completely different than how we see it. And that would still support like having a user interface and all those kind of things. And even though I kind of considered absolute idealism, it's kind of ironic because me denying the concept of absolute idealism, which literally says there's nothing there. Like, this is a product of our mind, and that's that. Well, to me, like, it made me feel, I just interpreted it wrong because it made me feel less significant and like somehow I just didn't matter. But like, dude, and once again, it was like 10 o'clock at night a couple nights ago as I'm laying in bed and just pondering all this stuff. And man, it like literally just like something almost hit me in the with like a pleasant feeling. Like, I don't mean like it was a nuisance or somehow it hurt. But yeah, man, it was just like something kind of when they say like came to you, it just came to me. And when I really know that I have something, like when something comes to me and I know it's appropriate, it's always accompanied by this just surge of energy, man. It's like this it's kind of a cold electric current, but it still feels good. And also too, it's because these things, all these realizations, all these big thoughts and these things, like, they never make me feel special or significant or better than it. Like, there's just none of that, man. Like, it literally just makes me excited and like, oh, I can't wait to share with everybody. Like, that's all this is. And I just want to be clear. Well, first, I want you to hear me and see me and know I'm not having some like fit of hysteria or like episode of mania, because that's just not what's happening. And I know how just ridiculously different it is. And guys, like, yeah, man, and it's only because like I really set this loving intention to just help the world that somehow existence. Listen, if I'm gonna try my best to stop using the word God, because the image or the concept almost all of you have attached to it, it's not right. Whatever you think of when you see the word existence, that's much more appropriate. Consider what you think of as God as actually just being like the substance of existence. And now, because this God is without attribute, listen, man, it's not good, it's not bad, it's none of these things. These are all words and concepts we've attached to it to make it more like us, which is, I can get why, because like the way we kind of think makes us want to do such, our natural ways of thinking, but they're wrong. Okay. So we need to understand that we are just these extensions of existence itself, only so it can know things like hurt and joy, and it can experience these things. But everything, when you look outwards into the world, it's just some sort of information. Now, of course, I don't know specifically what sort of raw data or raw information is being used by the substance of existence. That's a bit much to expect in some sort of, well, as Einstein put it for relativity, an internal hallucination, and as the New Age spiritual community typically calls it, a download, because, well, it's a digital zeitgeist or a digital ethos, and that's how we know such things. But anyway, like I said, man, I, I quickly thought about like all the posts as of recent in relation to like how I normally share. I was like, there's got to be a handful of you guys that are just like, what is wrong with him? Or like, what's going on with him? Like, this is weird. This is crazy. Like, man, I'm sure it seems like that to some of you, and I'm really sorry. Like, I apologize. Oh, and one thought that I had that was actually why I shared this video, because I was about to write it and I was like, there's hardly any way somebody's going to read this and not think like I'm belittling somebody or that I don't think I'm like grandiose or special. But once again, because this all did come more or less to its conclusion, there's still so much more stuff to be done. But anyway, this big initial part, it's actually done. Like, it's finally done. And so anyway, but it's given me this, like, how you're aware of your own presence, right? Well, like, my presence feels a lot larger in stature. And, when you'd hear that, you'd probably think, oh, well, he thinks he's getting all big and he's somehow much improved and bettered, and everybody else, like, no, like, that's literally not it. And I really don't mean how this sounds, but you are all like my children. And what I mean by that is, like, yeah, I feel like I'm almost looking down on myself, and like I can just see it all, man. I really can just see it all. It's really neat, and I can't wait for some of you to actually experience it so you can actually know what I'm talking about and relate to it. And it's a really beautiful and really cool experience, and it doesn't make you feel like you know everything more than everybody else. No, 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 no. It's a humbling feeling, and I know that's counterintuitive, but it's counterintuitive. Like, I use the words paradoxical and counterintuitive all the time because we're thinking wrong, and I just didn't know it until very recently. But anyway, that grand presence, that large presence, dude, like, all it makes me feel is like, I want to help you guys. I love you guys. I care about you guys. And like, yeah, man, like, I'm only here to help you. And the cool thing is with like a heart full of love and just a allegiance to like divine truth, so to speak, and somehow with like reason, rationality, and essentially whatever it is we call philosophy is like, I mean, I guess I could call them my weapons. They essentially create some sort of like Excalibur. I know it sounds silly, but yeah, man, like, I can just sort of like probe around through information and things and seem to be able to come out with what stuff really is, or how things should be perceived, or like just maybe how it's different from how it's considered right now. And I think that's, and there's been plenty of old thinkers and scientists that have actually said, like, intelligence isn't the measure of what you know. It's essentially like being able to look at everyday things, like common stuff, guys, and just consider it in a completely novel or new and different way. Like, it's that simple. So anyway, like I said, wanted you to see that I'm, in fact, not having an episode of mania or in some sort of uncontrollable fit of hysteria. And that, yeah, man, like, I love you. This is, once again, it's real. And also, sorry, because of television, and I'm pretty sure this is why anyway. Once again, I think I've conveyed, like, I understand how digital media or digital things in general kind of have its suasion or influence over our being and our faculty, our cognition, mind, whatever. And because of such, I think like a lot of you, because of like, oh, wow, he's communicate, like, because this, I hate to say this, and I'm not trying to offend any Christians, but this is very comparable to what happened to Jesus. I am not saying that the words "I am Jesus" is not coming out of my mouth. That's not what I mean. I'm just consciousness, and I'm pretty sure he kind of felt the same way, or he thought himself of as spirit or as existence itself, and that is appropriate. So yeah, like, essentially everything he's saying was exactly what I'm saying, but it only applied to his specific time. And obviously, I grew up, the first 36 years of my life were as through this matrix. And so I know these ideas and these words of existence, or quote unquote of God, through the way I've experienced life for the majority of my life, or the way I was essentially programmed to experience things. And so, of course, the words are going to be a little different, but they're the same ideas and the same concepts, guys. So anyway, yeah. But television, like, yeah, it usually makes us want to think like there has to be some sort of spectacle or grandiose production behind like a miracle or something. And that's just television drama and like the spectacle of it all, man. Like, that's not how life works, and I think a lot of you guys can understand that. But this is, in fact, a miracle. Like, I literally just sat down, and through only wanting to help, love, a lot of information and knowledge, and then, yeah, man, just like kind of surrendering myself to existence and just allowing these things to work through me. I mean, you gotta understand, this was the largest act of faith I've ever heard of, man. Like, I've never heard of anything like this. I still don't know why exactly it happened to me, but it did happen, guys. Like, and this is going to be really cool because, once again, if we're where we're at right now, okay, we can, quote unquote, fly to or send things to Mars, or send giant unnecessary telescopes out into, quote unquote, deep space. Once again, that's just an extension of our perception. There is no deep space. It's taking pictures of conscious agents and stuff that's really not there, okay? None of that stuff's there. There's just information, and you got to understand, our user interface will establish itself as presenting such images. If we send an extension of our perception out there to probe around, it's going to raise or generate its interface to accommodate such. And that's the only reason Those things are there. They're not really there, guys. And I'm not saying that there are no such things as planets, because there very well may be like a conscious agent, just like we are. We're conscious agents. There very well might be one of planets, blah, blah, blah. But just don't worry about any of that stuff, guys. All that really needs to be worried about right now is, I guess, just, doing whatever is necessary, maybe trying to humble ourselves or find some more love, or just pursue some more knowledge to prepare ourselves for, I guess, like the transition that's about to happen, because I'd assume it's going to happen very soon. All right. Love you guys. Bye.